Good morning. Today we're at the Rice Museum in Pantai Chenang on Langkawi in Malaysia. Here's the pamphlet for you. They call it Laman Padi. Laman means field and Padi is the rice when it's at this stage of development. I've just been on a big tour which we're going to try and repeat for you as best we can. Now before the rice is planted, it's soaked in a bag in water for 3 days and then tossed into a field that's been ploughed. They can't leave the rice to grow like this though, because it's too packed together and insects will eat a lot. So once it gets to about this stage, they have to transplant it. Baby rice is pulled up, they split it up, and then it's replanted in a field like this. When you're planting, you have to walk backwards to make sure your rows are all straight and to make sure that you don't step on any of the rice you've just planted. It's all done by women because they're patient and men are... Men can't be trusted to do this kind of thing. Here's Tanya earning her keep. As the rice grows, you have a problem with birds eating it, so they have a lot of scarecrows scattered around. They also have a few of these. It's a length of rope which is tied to a brick which is hanging against a piece of tin or something, so that you can pull it and it makes loud noise. They're scattered around all over the place so that one person can keep birds away from the whole farm. Pretty clever. As the rice grows, it gets heavy and starts to bend over. At some point they have to either drain the field or just let the water evaporate off, because if the rice gets into the water it goes mouldy. Once there's no more water, you get mice coming into the field to eat the rice, and so they have these. It's a home for an owl. They build these, owls move in and then they pick off the mice to stop them from eating all of the rice, which rhymes.
Here we have lemongrass and lots of it. This plant is the coolest plant. It smells like popcorn. Can you smell it? Smell, smell, smell.
Once the rice gets something like this, it's harvested. It's harvested by women again, because they're more careful. It's cut up using a scythe, well, that's the old-fashioned way anyway, and bundled up like that, where it's taken off for threshing. Once the women have cut it down and bundled it up, the men come along and collect the bundles.
Because they're stronger.
They seem to have a lot of the easy jobs. Generally they also have a few little lots like this that are just water. They raise fish in them, particularly catfish. It's generally a job for the kids to wade in and dig them out of the mud. They also have coconut trees around, again another source of food, and a drink after you've been out in the fields all day, or at least after the wife has been out in the field all day.
So, I'm childlike. So this is to catch catfish. So the kids would come to the little dam and see a catfish and put it in the water over the catfish, and then be able to put their hand in to collect the catfish and pull it out.
Everything we've shown you so far has been the traditional way of growing rice. This is a modern rice field. They don't bother splitting them up when they're young anymore to stop the insects from eating them. Instead they just spray the whole thing with pesticide. It's much less labour intensive. The traditional way is very hands-on, requires a lot of human beings in fields for hours on end. This way doesn't. You can produce a much higher volume of rice with less land this way. The quality isn't as good because the rice, as you can see, is very crowded, so it has to compete for light and nutrients. You can produce a lot more, and when you've got a lot of people to feed, that wins out. Buffalo! Traditionally they use water buffalo to plough the fields. You can apparently only get a couple of hours a day out of a water buffalo before it likes to go off and lay in a muddy hole like that and sleep. It eats this plant as well as straw taken from the rice fields. When it's laying there, it's not just sleeping. Birds will come and pick off all the leeches and ticks that they apparently pick up in the field. It's a beautiful herb garden here. It contains a lot of plants that are indigenous to Malaysia.
This is citronella, good for mosquitoes, or get rid of mosquitoes.
Looks like lemongrass but has a red stalk, but it certainly doesn't smell like lemongrass. You couldn't really get the two confused in person.
The Malaysian oregano, I can't remember the exact name he called it. This is definitely oregano. It's just massive leaves compared to what we're used to. There's also a really good museum part. It's very pretty. There's lots of cool things to look at, all obviously rice field related. Definitely recommend it. Come and have a look.
And that's the rice farm in Pantai Chenang, Langkawi. It's well worth a visit. It doesn't cost anything. They'll ask you for a donation at the end, so you can give as much or as little as you like. Just make sure you get a guide.
Very important.
You may need to look around a bit to find one, but they're happy to show you around. And without a guide, you're kind of just wandering around in some rice paddies. We've missed out a lot of what the guide told us. You'll learn lots. Very interesting. You should come.
Yes.